It started with a gut feeling, so I made a fake Tinder profile and matched with my own wife. Not a lookalike. Not someone with the same name. It was her. Same photos she used on Facebook, the same slightly tilted smile, and even the same dog in the background. Our dog, Max. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. My coffee went cold. The ceiling fan spun overhead, buzzing like an old wasp, and my heart thudded out of sync with everything else around me. I didn't swipe right immediately. I needed a plan. For weeks leading up to this, something had been off. Her phone never left her side, not even when she showered. She'd laugh quietly at texts she wouldn't show me, say she was working late, but come home without so much as a yawn. And sex? That disappeared like it owed us money. I tried brushing it off, thinking maybe we were just in a rut. 10 years of marriage can do that to people. But her distance wasn't just emotional. It was intentional. So I made a profile. I used a name that didn't raise red flags. Jake, 38, recently moved to the city, into motorcycles and hiking. A picture of a guy I found in a free stock photo library. Clean-shaven, kind eyes, but generic enough to pass for a real person. I filled in the bio with just enough charm to pass the vibe check, but not so much to look fake. Then I let it sit. 2 days later, there she was. Lana, 35. Just looking for someone who makes me laugh again. Married in name only. Don't judge unless you've lived my life. I felt like the floor tilted beneath me. 10 years. Vacations. Holidays. A mortgage. Max's adoption day. The miscarried baby we grieved for together. All of that, wrapped up in married in name only. I swiped right. Instant match. She must have swiped days ago, maybe even before I joined. She was active. Looking. Available. The kind of woman I would have been terrified to lose if I knew who she really was. My hands shook as I crafted the first message. I didn't want to come on too strong. I needed her to talk, to reveal things. So I played it light. Me, Jake. Didn't expect to match with someone so gorgeous this fast. What's the catch? She replied within minutes. Lana. Haha, flattery already? You're either smooth or desperate smirking face. And I guess the catch is, I'm complicated. I stared at her words. Complicated. Yeah. Try married to the guy she shares a house, a dog, and a life with. But I had to play it cool. Me. I like complicated. Keeps things interesting. Over the next few days, we messaged constantly. She told Jake things she hadn't told me in years. That she felt unseen, unloved. That her husband, me, was a good man but boring, predictable, emotionally unavailable. That she felt like she was suffocating in routine. I felt the sting of every lie she wrapped in her self-pity. And yet, I kept going. I asked her questions. Probed. Gently. Do you think you'll ever leave him? What keeps you in that marriage? Are you sure you're not just going through something and projecting? She was clever with her answers. Always vague enough to sound reasonable, detailed enough to be damning. She painted herself as a victim, stuck, unappreciated, torn between duty and desire. Then she sent a photo. Nothing explicit. Just her on the couch, wine glass in hand, legs curled under a blanket. But I recognized the blanket. It was mine. A Father's Day gift from 2 years ago. Her hair was still damp from the shower. She was probably 5 rooms away from me when she took it. That night, she kissed me on the cheek and went to bed early. I sat up, staring at the profile, at our message thread, wondering what the hell I was doing. Why didn't I confront her? Why didn't I storm into the bedroom and show her the screen? Because that wasn't the kind of man I was. I didn't want rage. I wanted clarity. I wanted proof. If I confronted her too early, she'd spin it. Call me controlling. Accuse me of entrapment. Turn it all around on me. And worst of all, destroy any chance I had to leave cleanly, legally, and with leverage. So I saved the chat. Exported it. Backed it up. Then I started planning. The first thing I did was talk to a lawyer, not to file for divorce yet, but to understand what I needed. Evidence. Financial prep. Custody, if it came to that. I learned more about the law that week than I had in 4 years of college. Next, I began documenting. Screenshots, timestamps, logs of her movements, credit card charges. I even set up a camera in the living room, pointed at the front door. Discreet. Just enough to verify comings and goings. And I kept talking to her. As Jake. She opened up more. Talked about wanting to meet, but being nervous. I've never actually done this, she said. I've talked to guys, but never taken the next step. A small part of me, the stupid part, wanted to believe her. But I'd already caught her lying with a smile. So I kept nodding and baiting. By the end of the week, she wanted to meet. Public place, of course. Somewhere casual, where we can just talk. She suggested a little cafe near the dog park, the same one where we used to get breakfast on weekends. Irony's a cruel little beast. I agreed. Jake would be there at noon on Saturday, and I would be nearby, watching, recording, gathering the final piece. That night, Lana snuggled up to me in bed like everything was normal, kissed my shoulder, called me babe, asked if I wanted pancakes in the morning. I smiled in the dark and said, yeah, sounds good. But in my head, I wasn't thinking about pancakes. I was thinking about Saturday, and how nothing would ever be the same again. Saturday came faster than I expected. I'd rehearsed every possibility. What if she doesn't show? What if she brings a friend? What if she recognizes me somehow, sees through Jake? Or worse, what if she changes her mind and goes home, hugs me, and pretends none of this ever happened? But she didn't. By 11:52 a.m., I was already in position. I parked across the street from the cafe, tucked behind a tinted windshield, wearing a hoodie and baseball cap, not for disguise, but to feel like I was watching a show, not living it. I had a camera mounted on the dashboard and another on my phone, propped up just below the steering wheel. This wasn't spying. This was documentation. At 11:57, she walked in. She wore the light blue dress I always told her looked best on her. Hair pulled back, subtle makeup, and that same effortless smile she reserved for strangers. She scanned the place, phone in hand, typing something. My phone buzzed. Lana. Hey Jake, I'm here early. Sitting by the window. Like clockwork. I didn't reply. I needed to give her space, make her think I was running a little late. I wanted to see how she behaved when she thought no one was watching. She ordered coffee, took out her phone, checked herself in the reflection of the window, brushed something off her shoulder. Then she stared out, not nervous, not unsure, but like someone who'd done this before. At 12:04, a man walked in. For a second, my stomach dropped. What if this was him, the real guy? What if she had a second Jake, someone I didn't know about? But no, he was older, just a customer. He ordered and left. She messaged again. Lana. Running late, smiley face. I'll hang tight for a bit. I stared at her through the glass. She looked happy, lighter, like the version of her I hadn't seen in years. It made me angry in a way I didn't expect. Because that smile, that casual radiance, it had been gone from our life for months. And now I knew where it went. She wasn't exhausted from work. She wasn't withdrawn because of stress. She was giving her best to a fantasy while feeding me the scraps. I sat back, phone still recording, until 12:20. Then I sent one message. Jake. Sorry. Can't make it today. Something came up. Hope that's not too disappointing. She stared at the screen a moment. Her face changed, a flicker of something. Not heartbreak, just mild frustration. Then she typed. Lana. A little. But I get it. Rain check. I didn't answer. She waited 5 more minutes, then got up, tossed her half-full coffee, and walked out. Not devastated. Just inconvenienced. Like she'd missed a yoga class. I watched her leave, phone still in hand, and drive away in the car I helped her pick out last fall. I didn't follow. I had what I needed. Back home, I reviewed the footage. Her arrival, her demeanor, the timestamps matching our chat. Everything was clean, date-stamped, and usable. I uploaded it all to a secure drive and emailed a copy to myself and my lawyer. I wanted redundancy. No accidental deletions. No surprises. I hadn't filed anything yet, but I knew it was coming. That night, she came home and said, work was a nightmare, as she kicked off her shoes and flopped on the couch. Max ran over to her, tail wagging, clueless, and she scratched his ears like she was the picture of innocence. Can we order Thai tonight? She asked. Sure, I said, because I needed time. I needed her to keep thinking everything was normal, so I could prepare the hammer drop. Clean, precise, unavoidable. Over the next 2 weeks, I laid the groundwork. Bank accounts. I created my own, moved half of my paycheck into it. Not suspicious yet. We've always had both joint and personal accounts. Important documents, birth certificates, marriage license, insurance info, scanned, backed up, and stored at my brother's place. Asset appraisal. Quietly requested valuation on our home through a realtor friend. Just thinking about refinancing. I said. Credit check. Made sure she hadn't opened anything in my name. She hadn't. Yet. Every move I made was surgical. And all the while, Jake stayed quiet. I left the thread untouched. No new messages. She followed up once. You ghosting me? But I ignored it. I didn't need more messages. I had enough. Then came the breaking point. A Thursday night. She said she was meeting coworkers for drinks. I nodded, smiled, and told her to have fun. But before she left, she stood in the hallway, checking herself in the mirror for way too long. She even changed her earrings twice. I waited 5 minutes after she left, then pulled up our Ring doorbell app. The one she forgot was synced to my account too. She wasn't going downtown. She was headed back to that same cafe. Again. Except this time, I wasn't watching from the car. I stayed home. Because I didn't need more video. I had the truth. By the time she walked back in the door 3 hours later, cheeks flushed, hair windblown, smelling like wine and perfume, I had already emailed everything to my attorney. She smiled, leaned down to kiss my forehead. Miss me? I looked up and said, actually, I really did. And she smiled like everything was fine, because she had no idea her world was about to collapse. The appointment was for Monday morning, 9 a.m. sharp. I sat in the office of Claire McIntyre, divorce attorney with 20 years under her belt and a face carved out of cold logic. Her office was glass and leather, not cozy, not warm, but professional to the point of surgical. Exactly what I needed. She had already reviewed the documents I sent. The chat logs, the video footage, the exported text threads. Everything meticulously time-stamped, labeled, and indexed. I came prepared. She gave me a nod of approval after scanning the final page. You've done most of the legwork, Mr. Harrow. That's rare. Most men walk in here confused and bleeding. You walked in with a scalpel. I didn't smile. I wasn't proud of any of this. I just want a clean exit. And justice. Claire leaned back, steepling her fingers. Good. Then we move fast. You've got no kids, correct? I nodded. Just the dog. Well, Max can't testify, so he stays with whoever wins the home. Unless you want to argue pet custody. What's your goal here? Property? Revenge? A public flogging? No. Just the house and peace of mind. And to make sure she doesn't blindside me with alimony claims or emotional theatrics. Claire smiled thinly. Then we file first. Preemptively. Control the narrative. And based on what you've shown me, we can petition to keep all marital assets, especially if we can establish marital misconduct. You mean adultery? She tapped the folder. I mean a documented pattern of betrayal, emotional and attempted physical infidelity. You didn't need to catch her in a hotel room, Mr. Harrow. You already caught her in a lie and planned deception. I exhaled, slow and steady. For the first time in months, I felt the edge of control return. Not anger, not resentment, just clarity. We signed the papers that day. Claire promised to file within 24 hours. Lana would be served quietly by courier at work. No scenes, no shouting matches, no grand confessions in our kitchen. I was done performing. That evening, I made dinner. Nothing fancy, grilled chicken, steamed vegetables, and her favorite red wine. I set the table like it was a celebration. She walked in around 6:30, humming to herself, in that fake cheerful way people do when they want to seem innocent. Dropped her purse, kissed Max on the head, and walked into the kitchen like everything was fine. Wow, she said, looking at the table. What's the occasion? No occasion, I said. Just felt like doing something nice. She smiled, poured herself a glass, sat down. This feels like the old days. I nodded. Almost. We ate in silence for a bit. She made small talk, office gossip, a client with a ridiculous request, something about her manager being annoying. I nodded where appropriate, laughed when expected, and then she asked, So, how was your day? I paused just long enough to let the silence stretch. Productive, I said. Handled some paperwork. Met with someone about the future. She tilted her head, sensing something. Like a job thing? In a way, I said. I'll tell you more soon. She nodded, suspicious but not alarmed. She had no clue what was coming, and I wasn't about to spoil the finale. 2 days later, she got served. I wasn't there to see it. Claire's assistant had it handled. Clean, quiet, quick. She got the envelope at her desk between meetings. I imagined her face, confusion first, then fear, then the slow burn of realization. She called me within minutes. I let it ring twice, then answered. Hey, I said, like nothing was wrong. Her voice was shaking. Are you serious? You filed for divorce? Without even talking to me? I figured we'd talked enough, I said. You blindsided me. You didn't even give me a chance to fix this. I leaned back in my chair. You mean fix you pretending to be someone else online? Or fix Jake, the guy you were ready to meet behind my back? Silence. She started. It wasn't what you think. I never actually cheated. You don't have to physically cheat to betray someone, Lana. You already crossed the line. Multiple times. She paused again. I could hear her breathing. I was lonely, she said finally. You were always working. Always distracted. I felt invisible. And instead of talking to me, you decided to make a Tinder profile? I didn't plan to meet anyone. I just wanted to feel something again. You matched with someone named Jake. You planned a date. You went to that cafe twice. Once, when he canceled, and once hoping he'd still show up. Another pause. You were watching me? I was protecting myself. Jesus, she whispered. This is insane. No, Lana. This is clarity. It's the first time in months I feel sane. Later that night, she came home like a ghost. No excuses. No tears. Just a blank, drained expression. She sat on the couch while I packed a bag. I was staying at my brother's for the week. Claire advised it. No arguments, no tension, just space. She didn't fight me. She barely spoke. When I grabbed Max's leash, she looked up. You're taking him? He needs stability. So do I, she said. I looked at her, the woman who'd lied to my face while planning a secret life behind it. Then I hope you find it, I said. But it won't be with me. And I walked out. The first message came 3 days after I left. It was an email, not a text, not a call, as if using a formal medium would somehow give it weight. The subject line, please read this. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity wins sometimes, even when you know better. Lana, I know you hate me. I don't blame you. I'm not going to ask for forgiveness. I just want you to know I never stopped loving you. What I did, it was cowardly and selfish. I felt lost, invisible, and instead of talking to you, I looked for a distraction. That's all Jake ever was. A distraction, a fantasy I never meant to follow through on. You were always good to me, even when I didn't deserve it. I'm sorry. I miss you. L. It read more like a confession than an apology. And for a second, one full, honest second, I felt something stir. Regret? Nostalgia? Pity? But then I remembered the look on her face at the cafe. That casual comfort. That little smile she gave the barista. The way she checked her reflection for Jake. She didn't look lost. She looked excited. I didn't reply. 2 more messages came over the weekend. Then a handwritten letter delivered by courier. 5 pages, front and back. I didn't read it. I gave it to Claire, who scanned it into the file and then tossed it in the shredder. She's laying the groundwork, Claire said. Trying to soften you up before mediation. Don't fall for it. I won't, I said. And I didn't. Monday morning, I got a call from my bank. Apparently, someone tried to access our joint account and move funds into a secondary savings account, one I didn't recognize. The transfer was flagged and frozen. When I called Lana to ask if she knew anything about it, she sounded defensive. I was just trying to secure some funds in case you went crazy, she snapped. Right, I said. Because I'm the irrational one here. You filed for divorce without warning. You were cheating in secret. She hung up. That afternoon, Claire expedited a motion to freeze all joint accounts until the divorce was finalized. Every dollar was now accounted for, every asset under lock and key. I wasn't just leaving. I was leaving clean. That week, Lana started what I call her apology tour. She texted my brother, my mother, even my college friend David, whom she'd barely spoken to in years. They all got the same message in different flavors. I messed up, but I still love him. I didn't actually cheat. He's overreacting. He's not himself lately. A quiet PR campaign to frame herself as the sad, misunderstood wife whose husband was throwing it all away over a mistake. David forwarded me the message. So did my brother, with a one-line note. Don't fall for it. We've got your back. Lana still had no idea how much she'd underestimated me. She thought she could manipulate the story like she always had. Twist emotions, cry at the right time, throw enough guilt to confuse the lines. But I wasn't confused anymore. I was methodical. At mediation, she wore her softest expression. Light makeup, pale blue cardigan, hair back like she was channeling her sweet girl energy. But her voice cracked when she saw me walk in without hesitation, folder in hand, composed. She didn't expect that. Claire slid the file across the table to her lawyer. Printed screenshots. Video stills. Timestamps. A full exhibit list. Her lawyer's eyes widened slightly. He pulled her aside for a hushed conversation. Lana came back pale. Her voice was quiet. You recorded me? No, I said. I recorded us. That house had security. You just forgot. She looked down. We didn't settle that day. She asked for time. I granted it. Not out of kindness, but because every delay gave me more room to plan. The turning point came a week later. Lana requested to meet one last time. In person, no lawyers. Claire advised against it, but I agreed, under one condition. It had to be in public during the day. We met at the same cafe. Of course we did. She was already there when I arrived, seated in the exact same spot she waited for Jake. A poetic little circle. She smiled as I approached, hopeful, nervous. Thanks for meeting me, she said. I sat, nodded, waited. She dove in fast. I know I messed everything up. I know it's late, but I want to fix this. I've been seeing a therapist. I deleted the app. I blocked every guy I ever messaged. I've changed. I let her talk for 5 minutes straight. Please. Promises. Even a few tears. Then she said something that sealed her fate. I never thought you'd go through with it, she whispered. I thought you loved me too much to leave. I smiled, but not kindly. I did love you, I said. But I love myself more now. Her face fell. And here's something you didn't know, I added. The house. It's already in my name. I refinanced it a month ago. Quietly. Legally. You signed the documents, remember? You thought it was a mortgage update. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. That's what trust gets you, Lana. Access. Signatures. Silence. And in your case, a front row seat to your own downfall. I stood. Good luck, I said. Really, you'll need it. And I walked out, this time for good. The court date was set for the end of the month. Claire had warned me early on. Divorces aren't about emotions. They're about paperwork, proof, and power. Keep your cool, and you win. I followed that advice like gospel. From the moment I stepped into that courtroom, I wasn't the betrayed husband anymore. I was a man finishing a job. Lana sat across from me in a navy blouse and black slacks, her hair curled, her posture perfect. Her lawyer shuffled through papers like he still hoped for a miracle. But there would be none. I had prepared too well, moved too fast, and stayed too quiet. The judge was calm, efficient, almost bored. He asked routine questions, confirmed dates, verified documents. Then came the real moment, when Claire submitted the full file. Your Honor, she said, sliding the thick folder forward. We are submitting documentation of ongoing marital misconduct, emotional infidelity, and planned physical infidelity, supported by digital records and video evidence. The petitioner, my client, seeks full ownership of the marital home, no spousal support, and full protection of his individual financial accounts. Lana shifted in her seat. Her lawyer objected to the phrasing. There was no physical affair, Your Honor. No consummation. This is speculative. Claire didn't blink. Intent is provable, and in this case, recorded. She attempted to meet with someone under false pretenses, someone who, incidentally, was my client in disguise. The intent was clear, documented, and repeated. The judge skimmed the exhibit list. Then he looked up. Is the respondent contesting the divorce? Her lawyer paused. Lana's voice came out barely above a whisper. No, Your Honor. And are you seeking alimony? Silence. Then, after a beat, her lawyer responded for her. Not at this time. I didn't smile. I didn't move. I just sat there, hands folded, heartbeat steady. It was done. Outside the courthouse, Claire shook my hand. Textbook, she said. You gave her no foothold. That's rare. Thanks, I said. But I don't feel victorious. You don't have to. You just have to feel free. And I did. Back at the house, now officially mine, I walked through every room like it was the first time. It felt bigger, quieter, not empty, just aired out. Like I'd opened a window and let the rot blow away. I donated her clothes the next day. Everything except a few boxes she'd asked me to keep until she figured things out. I packed those into the garage and changed the locks. Max followed me around like a shadow. Dogs are funny that way. Loyal, present, undemanding. He never asked questions, never needed explanations. He was just there. A reminder that some things stay true. Over the next week, the messages changed tone. No more apologies. Just bitterness. Lana, you didn't have to go nuclear. I made a mistake. You planned an execution. Enjoy your empty house. Hope it keeps you warm. I bet Jake wouldn't have been so heartless. I didn't reply. Claire said not to. Let her scream into the void, she advised. Eventually, it'll echo. She was right. The text slowed, then stopped. One evening, maybe a month later, I ran into someone mutual at the grocery store. Natalie, one of Lana's old coworkers. She gave me that awkward smile people give when they're not sure what side they're supposed to be on. Hey, wow, it's been a while. Yeah, I said casual. I heard things. I'm sure you did. She hesitated, then said, Lana moved out of town, you know. I didn't. And I didn't ask where. She's not doing great, she added. She said you ruined her life. I almost laughed, but held it in. She ruined her own life? I said calmly. I just stopped shielding her from it. Natalie didn't respond, just nodded and wished me well. Freedom didn't hit me like a thunderclap. It crept in. The absence of tension in the hallway. The silence when I brushed my teeth at night. The comfort of knowing no one was lying to my face from across the dinner table. I didn't jump into dating. Didn't rush into anything. I focused on the gym. On reading. On walking Max through quiet neighborhoods without checking the time. I started sleeping better. And then one morning, months later, I got an alert from a realtor app one forgot I still had. An apartment listing. From Lana. She was subletting a small one-bedroom downtown. No parking. No yard. No pet policy. I smiled. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I had closure. She left with nothing but regret, and I left with peace. 6 months passed. It's strange how time doesn't heal everything, but it sure puts things into perspective. You stop counting the days since something ended, and start noticing the mornings when you don't think about it at all. The divorce was final. The house was mine. The dog was asleep at my feet while I drank coffee in the backyard. Something Lana always said we never had time for. Now I did it almost every morning. She was gone. I didn't know where, didn't care to know. Claire told me she'd signed over everything without appeal. No contests. No letters. Just silence. That was the biggest surprise of all. Not the affair. Not the lies. But how easy it was for her to disappear when she had nothing left to control. I cleared the guest room. Painted the walls. Gave it a new identity. Not a space for memories, but for visitors. Friends. Family. The life I was rebuilding, brick by brick. Sometimes, late at night, I'd reread our old messages. Not as Jake, but the real ones. Texts from birthdays, anniversaries, silly things we sent each other just a year or two ago. And I'd feel it. That old ghost of warmth. But then I'd remember the night I sat in my car watching her wait for a man who didn't exist. And that ghost faded. One day, I ran into a woman at the bookstore. She was standing in the psychology aisle, holding 2 books like she couldn't decide whether to fix herself or just understand why people break things. I made a small joke. She laughed. We talked for 10 minutes about nothing important, her job, my dog, how nobody really reads the books they buy. She didn't ask if I was single. I didn't ask if she was married. We just talked. That night, I didn't look her up. Didn't search for her name on social media. Didn't plan anything. But I did think, maybe I'm ready to talk to someone again. Not today. Not tomorrow. But soon. I got a call from Claire a few weeks later. Not legal business, just a courtesy. Thought you might want to know. Your ex reached out to my office. She wanted to confirm whether the settlement prohibits her from contacting you again. Does it? No. But she was told it's strongly discouraged unless absolutely necessary. She didn't leave a message. Just asked. Then hung up. Thanks for letting me know. No problem. You're still one of my favorite clients. You didn't blow up. You planned your way out. That's rare. I smiled. Planning was all I had. You had something else, too. What's that? Dignity. Most people forget how valuable that is. A few days later, I walked past our old favorite cafe. She wasn't there. No ghost in the window. No memory waiting with a smile and a fake story. Just a quiet table, 2 empty chairs, and a man passing by who no longer needed answers. I don't tell people this story unless they really want to know. Not because I'm ashamed, but because most of them expect drama. Fireworks. Explosions. The kind of cinematic betrayal you see in movies. But real betrayal? It's quiet. Calculated. Ordinary. It hides in routines and smiles, and I love you texts sent right after someone swipes left. And healing? It's not loud either. It's in the little things. Taking your dog for a walk without checking your partner's location. Making coffee in silence, and not wondering who else they're texting. Sleeping soundly, not because you're tired, but because your conscience is clear. I didn't win by destroying her. I won by not destroying myself. And if she ever wonders what happened to the man she thought she outsmarted, well, he's doing just fine.